Good morning and welcome to Life Without Shakers. I'm back once again in the Lake District, continuing my journey around Wainwrights' southern fells. And today's walk starts in Coniston village centre, which can only mean one thing. Yep, it's time to climb Brim Fell. Now, Brim Fell is one of those awkward summits that you can't really get up to directly. So my walk is going to take me via Dow Crag and something called the Coniston Old Man, which you may have heard of. So that means that Brim Fell will actually be about halfway around my walk today. Can take about 6 miles to get up there. And from there I'm going to follow the ridge round to Grey Friars and Great Cars, returning back over Swirl How and finally Wetherlam before returning back to the village. Should be about a 13-mile walk all in all, I think. And I'm taking advantage of a late summer heat wave, which means it's likely to be very busy and very hot, and it was promised clear summits today, but now I've got here it's all misty, but hopefully that'll clear sometime this afternoon to get some views. Right, okay, on with the walk. And the start of the walk is up the Walnut Road, and it's very steep already. About a mile into the walk now, and this is the Walnut car park, and it's absolutely rammed. Hopefully most people have gone the direct route up to the Old Man straight away, but yeah, it's going to be very busy on the summit, I think. Hopefully the other fells I've got to go over today won't be quite as busy. Another thing to note is this is definitely not the weather that was promised. I checked the mountain weather information yesterday and it said there was an 80% chance of cloud-free summits. This must be the 20% that wasn't cloud-free. Now this is still called the Walnut Road. It goes all the way up to the top of Walnut and over towards Seathwaite. So technically I suppose you could drive a car up here, but I don't think you'd want to. But I'm on here for the first couple of miles of the walk up to Walnut up to the ridge, where I will make my way over to Dow Crag. Quick weather update. The sun is starting to burn through the mist. It might get even hotter this afternoon, but there should at least be a view at some point. Reached the top of the pass now. It's time to leave the Walnut Road and head on up towards Dow Crag. Now this little shelter here would fool you into thinking this was the summit of Dow Crag, but it's not. This is Brown Pike, but what a spectacular view behind it. That is Dow Crag, the higher of the summits on this ridge. That's the old man behind it, and look at the spectacular bank of cloud in the valley. Oh, this is typical. As soon as you get near a summit, 1,000 people suddenly turn up from nowhere. Phew, that was a bit of a scramble, but I've made it 4.5 miles into today's walk to the first summit of the day. This is Dow Crag, 2,555 feet. This is Wainwright number 13 of the Southern Fells. Wainwright says, second only to Swirl Crag in the magnificence of its rock architecture is the imposing precipice towering above the stony hollow of Goat's Water, a favourite climbing ground hallowed by memories of the earliest and greatest of Lakeland cragsmen. It's a wonderful view down to the south. It would be without this mist. Across to the north, you'll be able to see Coniston, which is where we're heading next. Hopefully that cloud lifts. The mist has cleared somewhat, and I think I can see the summit of the Old Man of Coniston. It's that one there with about 300 people on it by the look of it. Okay, the cloud descended briefly a minute ago, and while the cloud was descended, the path started going uphill. So I hope that I've picked the right path, and this is actually the way up the Old Man of Coniston. And for the first time today, we actually get a view of Goat's Water down in the valley between Dow Crag and the Old Man. It's been shrouded by cloud so far. This is Wainwright number 14 of book 4. This is the Coniston Old Man, or properly the Old Man of Coniston, 2,633 feet. And it's about the busiest summit that I've been on since Helvellyn about 4 years ago. Wainwright says the highest by a few feet and best known of the Coniston Fells is the Old Man, a benevolent giant revered by generations of walkers and of particular esteem in the eyes of the inhabitants of the village he shelters, for he has contributed much to their prosperity. The Old Man is no Matterhorn, nor is Coniston a Zermatt, but an affinity is there in the same close links between mountain and village. So the history of the one is the history of the other. Coniston without its Old Man is unthinkable. Now, I'm not sure what there are supposed to be views of from this summit because, well, you can't see anything today. Yeah, mostly a view across to the Eastern Fells and the Far Eastern Fells. But yeah, not today. So let's go onwards to Brim Fell. Oh, mercifully a lot quieter now I've left the old man behind. Just on the ridge path to Brim Fell now, and yeah, nice and clear on the summit for now. Well, I guess this must be Brim Fell. Wainwright number 15. Falls, 2,611 feet. And, well, not so much a fell in its own right, more the high point of the ridge that links the old man with Swirl How. But, nevertheless, it does have a rather impressive cairn. Wainwright says the view, though extensive, suffers in comparison with that from the adjacent old man because of the broadness of the summit, there being no single vantage point that brings the surrounding tarns into the picture. The scene therefore depends for attractiveness on the far skyline of fells in the northern arc, with the other Coniston hills looming rather too largely to present a balanced view. I'm guessing that is the view on a clear day because, well, today there is no view at all. The view is exactly the same as it was from the old man. So let's press onwards and try and find the path around the side of the ridge to Grey Friar next for beginning the return route back to Great Cars and Swirl How on the way to Wetherlam. Skirts around the side of the ridge on the way to Grey Friar, which is just there across the valley, and back on the main ridge path between Swirl How and Grey Friar, just beginning the climb up to Grey Friar. So we come to Wainwright number 16 of the Southern Fells, 2,536 feet. This is Grey Friar. Grey Friar, like Dow Crag, stands aloof from the main spine of the Coniston Fells, but unlike Dow Crag has no single natural feature to attract attention and is consequently the least frequented of the group. Yet it is a fine mountain of considerable bulk and forms the eastern wall of the Duddon Valley for several miles, rising high above the foothill series of knobbly tors and hanging crags that so greatly contribute to the unique beauty of that valley. And just about for the first time today, got a bit of a cloud-free summit. Dow Crag looking particularly pinnacly from here. Coniston man just about bathed in clouds still, but Brim Fell is now clear, and starting to get a view across to the Scafell range. It's nice and peaceful here after all the crowds of the old man. But not much further to go now. Still 3 fells, but only 5 miles back to Coniston, so that implies they're all fairly close together. This is the slope up to Grey Friar. Rather featureless, I must say, apart from a rather nice view of the Grey Friar range. Need to drink that in because that is the remaining objective of book 4 after I finish this walk. I've just got to travel around those monsters. There's apparently one feature on this hillside. According to Wainwright, there's the remains of a crashed aeroplane just below the summit. But I'd be amazed if that's still here, given the decades that have passed since he wrote his book. Oh, I was wrong. There are remains of a crashed aeroplane here. It's been turned into something of a memorial shrine. I wonder what happened here and when. I'll have to look at that. Halifax LL505 makes U-top cliff crash 22nd October 1944. Oh, must have been in fog. Imagine travelling forwards and then randomly hitting the side of a hill. And this is Wainwright number 17 of the Southern Fells. Great Cars, 2,575 feet. Curved like a scythe, the shapely ridge springing from the fields of Little Langdale to the crest of Rough Crags and climbing gradually thence along to the grassy rim of Wetside Edge to a lofty altitude between deep valleys, has little to arouse interest until the mild excitement of a bouldery stairway skirting the edge of the crags promises better things ahead. The airy summit of Great Cars follows at once, a splendid perch on the edge of the profound abyss of Greenburn. A short distance beyond, the ridge terminates in the peak of Swirl How. It is a lovely view. You can see the ridge all the way up down to Little Langdale from here. And Swirl How is immediately adjacent. That's where I'm going next. And from here I've got my first view of the final summit of the day. That is Wetherlam, just across that next valley, and annoyingly it looks like quite a bit of a way down and quite a bit of a way up again. So let's get cracking. And no sooner do we get to Wainwright number 17 than we reach Wainwright number 18 of book 4, Swirl How, 2,630 feet. Swirl How, although not quite the highest of the Coniston Fells, is the geographical centre of the group, radiating splendid ridges from a peaked summit to the 4 points of the compass. It is never seen really conspicuously in distant views, being crowded by surrounding fells, and Nevertheless, its appearance is good, especially in profile, for the long southern plateau breaks sharply at the actual summit into a steep and craggy declivity. And from here, got my first view of Coniston water of the day. Thanks to the cloud, not had any view of it so far today. Speaking of cloud, it's now rolling in over the top of Wetherlam. Hopefully that's blown on again by the time I reach it. Onwards and downwards. Just one more fell to go today. Oh, that was a pretty mean surprise at the end of the day. Quite a tough scramble down a stretch known as Prison Band. And this is the bottom of Swirl How, where it meets the Col and the rise up to Wetherlam, the final climb of the day. Right about now, I'm not convinced this is Wetherlam. It seems to be an awful lot further away from Swirl How than it showed on the map. Climb seems to be particularly endless. I reach the seventh and final fell of the day. This is Wetherlam, 2,502 feet, Wainwright number 19 of the Southern Fells. Wainwright says Wetherlam features prominently in breathtaking views like a giant whale surfacing above waves of lesser hills. The long rising line of the back springs from the fields of Coniston to a maximum height at the tip of the head, from which the blunt nose curves steeply down into Little Langdale. The outline is simple but deceptive, for the rising ridge coming up from the south is one only, and not the best, of three parallel ridges that give this fell a strange individuality. There's quite a good view from here, down into Langdale, across towards Coniston and the old man of Windermere peeking out in the distance as well. It gets everywhere, Windermere. Right. That's all the climbing for today. Just a short couple of mile descent back into Coniston village now. Today of the Coniston copper mines. It's obviously the main popular route up to the old man, past the mines. Okay, coming in via Dow Crag, and I missed that route today. This is slightly annoying. Still about 3/4 of a mile away from the village, and it's just started raining steadily. Could have waited until I got a bit closer. I'm not going to stop to put my waterproof jacket on now, it's far too hot for that, and I'm far too close to the end of the walk. and finally off the hills and back into the Copper Mines Valley, on the way back into Coniston village. Wonderful sound from the river just to my right as it rushes down all these waterfalls. Yeah, not too long to go now in this walk. It's been a good old walk, I think. Overall, enjoyed the majority of it. Some lovely views from some of the fells where there were breaks in the cloud, particularly Grey Friar and Great Crag, Great Carousel. Shame about the view from Dow Crag and the Old Man in particular. I mean, the main downside obviously was the hordes of people, particularly around Dow Crag and especially on the Old Man. Yeah, a bit of a downer on the day. But on the one hand, it seemed like a shame to me that all they did, most of them, was walk up the Old Man and then walk straight back down. They missed all the other fells completely. But then on the other hand, I'm quite glad of that because it meant that I had them all to myself for the most part. So that's another 7 summits down in the Southern Fells. Time now for a pint of bluebird at the Black Bull, as is only right and proper when in Coniston. So, as ever, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope you can join me again next time. Till then, bye.